Hello, everybody. This is long-awaited episode 9 of the Keep Rochdale Affordable podcast. My name is John Ferretti. This is my wife, Adena Ferretti. Um, as you know, we've had some technical difficulties that we've had to iron out. We have Adena on a new Android tablet because we had some problems with the Apple iPhone that she was using. Personally, I blame Apple. But in any case, we just wanted to welcome everybody to our podcast. And as you know, there's a lot to discuss. And I'm going to be sharing out the live stream feed to various Facebook and other social media groups to try to build the widest audience. And let me just start our Instagram live. Okay. All right, so we're now live on Instagram. I'm going to be sharing out the live stream video, and Adena is going to be sharing her thoughts on some of the recent developments here at Rochdale Village, and some of the maneuvers by our elected officials and the management company. So, Adena, the floor is yours, and after Adena speaks, we're going to open it up for discussion. Also, people should be aware we're going to have. You can also call in. If you'd like to speak with us live, please text us 917-678-557 and tell us what building you live in, and we will try our best to put you online. So, Adena, the floor is yours.
Hello, hi, how you doing? I thank you guys for joining us again in our podcast for the Keep Rochdale Affordable podcast. Thank you so much. You could be doing so much other things with your time, but you have chosen to take that time out to basically come and see us over here. Time is very important. It's not something that you can pay for, and it goes by very fast. So my portion of the podcast is that I talk a little bit about my thoughts and what I'm going through. So we haven't heard anything from the HCR. There is supposed to be a meeting with the residents, but at this time we basically have not heard anything from HCR. And without that meeting, I don't think that the carrying charges can be increased or anything like that. So, with that, when you don't hear something, when you know something is going to happen and you do not hear anything, it causes some anxiety. It caused anxiety for me, and I'm sure that it has caused anxiety for other residents, and we're all gearing up one way or another for this increase. We don't know how much is what is going to be. We don't know when it's going to be, but we know that it is coming. And those are the answers, questions that we're asking. The question is basically how much, and how much is it to brace for the storm, because it seems like it's going to be a storm. People are gearing up, finding out, well, what can I do to, if it goes up, say, I'm just going to say $100 or $200, what can I do? Some people are saying that they're looking for extra job, but how much extra job are you going to work? In today's market, AI is taking over. So, you kind of have to figure out that too. Got to put that in the category. Do I know how to work in the AI systems and online? What is going to happen? People are saying they're cutting back on food. How much can you cut back on food when it keeps basically increasing? Can't cut back too much on food, or the bills keep going up, huh?
Or you starve.
Or my stuff.
No, you
John,
starve. I said.
or I starve, and then I lose weight. Uh, I think I lost enough weight. Yeah, so that is an issue. I did lose weight.
Okay.
I'm fitting in all my clothes, so I know that it is. Even though the thing with me is, right, I keep taking out the clothes out the closet and taking it to the Goodwill. And then when I get to the Goodwill, I keep buying more stuff. I just don't know. So I asked the lady the other day, I'm like, do people do that? She said, girl, all the time. People come in here with one bag of clothes and leave with two bags of clothes. So it's like, you keep recycling. Oh my goodness, what a thing going on here. But there's no shame in my game. I'm gonna tell you that much. Also, going off topic, we are supposed to be, there is a flyer in, I think, all the buildings about a Vivian Cook our state assembly person that's supposed to be coming here on Monday. The problem that I have with that is that the meeting is at 10:30 in the morning. Now, at 10:30 in the morning, I'm going to be at work. And majority of people will be at work because that's how we pay our carriage charges. We go to work. That's what we do. We go to work. And most people work 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 30. So 10:30 is, I don't even know who is going to be there. And even if you're off, some people work at night, so they will be sleeping. So taking into consideration, who is this meeting really for? Is this a photo app? Is it for the people that's retired? I just don't know who they put into this calculation that's going to be at this meeting. And the meeting should be for all the residents where they should be able to be able to ask questions, be able to there firsthand to find out what is happening. I don't want hearsays or someone coming back to me or whatever. And if I hear them say something, I should be able to be there to ask questions. But they make it into a schedule that basically is affordable for them. I guess that's their time, and it's their time to come. But what about us? What about me? You know what I'm saying? What did they say? Oh, most of the residents, did they think that why not a Saturday? Why not a Sunday? Why not in the afternoon? Why make it convenience for, oh, John, you look like you're ready. Anyway, why not make it convenient for the residents? It's always, but why are we always pushed to the side as residents? But the only thing that we are pushed in center is how much are we going to pay? That we are centered and everything. The rent, you're going to pay this rent increase, you're going to pay this. But everything, you make decisions that I'm involved in. And I have to produce out of my pocket, but I'm not in the decision making. And that's very sad.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of why people feel such anxiety, because they know this increase is coming, and they don't know how to prepare for it because they don't know how much it's going to be, and they have no input whatsoever in any of the discussions about how to solve these problems. So I just want to talk about for a minute how disrespectful our elected officials have been to us, especially
one more thing.
Vivian Cook.
And also a lot of new people have just come here to Rochdale thinking it is a safeguard, only to find out that it is not really, And also, we have new people, we have young people that are moving in, and they're thinking, oh my God, this is affordable. There was a meeting yesterday for all the new people that's supposed to be moving here. I didn't hear them say anything about this raising thing. They're just going to have to find out. And people that just moved here a couple of months, they don't even know what's going on until they receive that high increase and to find out what is happening. So they don't even know about that. People are blindly thinking that this is a safe haven, and it's not.
Yeah, and also that's part of what is so rotten about what Vivian Cook did by putting out that flyer, is that she told us the crisis is over, and she has no right to say that. There's no basis to say that. And I just want to put up the flyer on the screen so people can take a look at what is being distributed in our community by our elected officials. I'm just gonna, Adena, can you tell me if you can see this?
I can see it. It's better than before.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm trying to find the letter. Okay, here it is. Okay, so this letter was issued by Assemblywoman Vivian Cook on June 21st, 2025. And she says, Dear Rochdale resident, I'm pleased to share with you that Rochdale Village is no longer facing an immediate crisis, thanks to key allocations that I secured in the New York State Assembly budget, working with Speaker Carl E. Heastie, who is the other representative from the State Assembly that's going to be at this meeting tomorrow. $5 million in direct operating funds, $25 million for capital projects. As informed by management, Rochdale's immediate capital needs total approximately $52 million. These two allocations totaling $30 million will significantly reduce the projected carrying charge increases, easing much of the anxiety and uncertainty that residents have felt in recent months. Together with Jay Williams in bold print and former council member Reuben Wills, we worked diligently to address the DEP water issue that they caused, that Summit Management Company caused. As a matter, we publicly discussed the cooperators meeting on March 10, 2025. Our collaboration continues, and I encourage you to look out for more announcements to come. I have full confidence in Mr. Jay Williams and his management team, again, in bold print, to guide Rochdale Village through this challenging period, one that has been years in the making and made worse by the unprecedented events like COVID-19, pandemic, and severe natural disasters. While I always enjoy seeing my constituents in Albany, I must clarify that these allocations were secured prior to any bus trip. My commitment is and always has been to ensure that our community receives the resources, services, and quality of life that we've worked so hard to build together. It was a pleasure working alongside Jay and Ruben to achieve this outcome, and I want to publicly thank them for their tireless efforts. This is also why I strongly believe that experienced leadership in the city council is essential to continue building on this process, navigate government processes, and ensure that communities like Rochdale are never left behind. So, in any case, why do this? Why put out a letter that pisses on the sacrifice and collective unity that was built by residents to travel 6+ hours to Albany to meet with elected officials like Vivian Cook, who then, when we got there, decided she was not available to meet with us personally, and she could FaceTime these residents, a handful of residents, from the state assembly floor. And at that time, since, according to her story, she had already secured this funding, she didn't bother to tell these residents the good news, did she? She didn't say anything about, oh, the crisis has been averted. Had no good news to share with them at all. And would refuse to participate in a news conference with these residents on the steps of the state capitol because she has a toxic and hateful relationship with our state senator, James Sanders. So because she doesn't like James Sanders, she wouldn't participate even in a press conference to publicize the crisis that Rochdale Village was having. But now she wants to come here at 10:30 in the morning when all of our residents are at work and hold a public relations event, a photo op, so she can say she came to the rescue. And we all can read, okay? You know, they keep telling us, they keep telling us that, we don't understand the crisis that we face. We know how to read the Rochdale Village Bulletin. We know how much debt we're in. We're hundreds and millions of dollars in debt to Wells Fargo Bank, nearly $200 million at high rates of interest that are going to mean that we're going to spend $86.5 million over the first 10 years of this Wells Fargo loan in interest alone to a racist, predatory bank. And they're going to tell us that $30 million is going to solve that crisis. We're not idiots. We can read. We know how to do basic math. 200-something million dollars is a hell of a lot more than $30 million. And we also know that the same agency, the New York State HCR, Housing and Community Renewal, is handing out $495 million in direct New York State aid to affordable housing communities in upstate communities like Albany, Buffalo, Binghamton, and others. So we all, we know how to do math. $495 million is a hell of a lot more money than $30 million. $30 million is not even 10% of the money that they're spending upstate. And don't get us wrong. We want all affordable housing communities to get funding from New York State. We want much more funding for these communities to keep the promises that New York State made over many decades for these communities to be affordable. But we know what's going on here. We know that the second largest affordable housing community in New York State has not received any significant funding from New York State for decades. And now when they do give us funding, it's a one-shot deal that is not going to create the affordability that we really need, is not going to get us out of debt. And here they go, engaging in a staged photo op to tell us they came to the rescue and they solved all our problems. And that's a lie. And I'm going to be going to that press conference tomorrow to try to have the voices of the residents who can attend heard at that press conference. And I also invited media representatives who have covered the crisis that Rochdale Village is currently facing to cover this as well. And, it's not about saying that we don't want this money. Of course, we want this money. Of course, we want any aid that we can get. But we want to know what the plan is to actually solve these problems. Because if these problems are not solved, we're going to face higher and higher increases in the future. We're going to have more and more of our residents not be able to afford to live here. And we're going to lose the gains of the civil rights movement. We're going to lose any affordable housing that we currently have in New York State. And given the crisis we face on the federal level, with the fascist, white supremacist Trump administration looking to take money away from states like New York, take money away from cities like New York City, if we don't solve these problems now, how are we possibly going to survive later when these attacks come down? So, Adena, I wanted to open up, the floor for wider discussion.
Oh, definitely what is going on, and the thing about it is, with my thing, is it's affordability, and maybe they can afford it, and these are just numbers to them, but to us, it's a dying need, where do we move, the anxiety, the questions that you ask, people staying probably awake at night, maybe there are people that have partners that have great jobs that can offset that. There are people that are living alone that can't do that, so even if I can't pay the carrying charges, I have a partner that's able to help me, but then there's somebody that don't have that,
Yeah.
People have grandchildren, people have children, people are in all sort of situation, and then people can't afford it, because I've heard people say, oh yeah, I can afford the extra 300, but it's not about that. It's about the people that cannot afford it. And, so you can't just be like for yourself and say, oh, maybe John and I can afford it, but we're still on here saying John and I can't afford it.
I mean, it's not about whether we can afford it. It's that when you open the door to double-digit increases like this,
for the next time,
those increases.
You know what I'm saying? And you can't just say, well, I can afford it, or I'm in the programs that the government offer. But you also have to think about, it's a community, and we have to think about what the community means. A community means you can afford it and I can't. We all should be able to afford it, because it's a community. That's what it is. It's not me standing alone. It's a community where we have to be able, and don't be happy and be like, I can afford it now. Because what they're thinking is that, yeah, when it comes, it's going to be double. And can you afford that double? Or you're going to be just barely making it. And the next year now is going to be triple, and you too will be priced out. So don't think that you can afford it now, because then, and they could change the laws in a minute and says, well, you don't qualify for these government programs anymore, just like how they're doing Medicare and Medicaid. The hospitals are cutting back really bad because they're not getting these Medicaids and Medicaid anymore. So it trickles down to us. So it's a community where we all have to start thinking, because up down the road, you're like, oh yeah, I'm moving. When you move over there, there's another problem.
Yeah.
There's no escaping it at all,
The other thing though too is that, like, we're in an economy where this big disaster of a bill in DC is going to mean a lot of people are going to get thrown off healthcare. And if they don't get thrown off healthcare, they're going to pay higher premiums, because the health insurance companies are already talking about jacking up the rates for those who do have insurance through those changes under Obamacare. So they're literally like pulling up the rug underneath all of our economic futures. And it's not about whether you're able to pay the rent. It's how much everything else will go up. And not to mention that you have people who are looking to turn this private. They're looking to gentrify it, and they have been for decades.
And not only even that, John, but people don't understand it, but the AI system is coming in, and it is a real crisis, because even at my job, they're saying, like, the automated systems are working against us. I do medical billing. The AIs are already going into the insurance company.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just something that came up.
It was a comment. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The AI system is here, and don't shut your eyes about it. It is here, and it's coming. And what they're saying, that even my jobs in not even a couple of, maybe next year, they're going to replace us, because what we're doing, they either may not need us at all, or they may need a small amount of us here. So when the AI come and I'm telling you, it is so they're even considering laws about AI now, because I was just talking to a guy and he was saying to me today, he was saying that, look, they're making laws that right now you can go on chat and just write a whole book and it doesn't say, written by chat GPT, right? But they're writing in the laws that you it would have to say written by chat. You cannot just go and write things anymore, because in the law you would have to put that this was written by chat, and it's not the same as they thinking you wrote it. And also impersonating people. People are impersonating other people. Like somebody could come and just impersonate my son online, and I'm thinking it's him because it's so real. He's talking like him and everything. And when you come to think about it, it is not him. So they're writing into laws where you cannot personate another person. You can personate you, but you can't do it to another person. So these things are coming and they're real. So when we lose our jobs now, how do we pay? How do we pay our thing? There's a lot of things that's coming, and we have to put in our mindset about, you just can't think of it as now. You can't play this game as, oh my God, things are just here. It's a whole shift of the world that is coming, and they already know it. They see it, but we down here, we may not see it, which is it's scary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's also part of the dangerous impact of people gaslighting and giving half truths and half information to people when they're asking questions about how do we solve this crisis. This is not an unsolvable crisis. We're an affordable housing community run by New York State. New York State has an obligation to make it truly affordable. The fact that we haven't been getting the subsidies all these years is the reason why we're in debt to parasites like Wells Fargo. They manipulated and they orchestrated this whole situation. How are you going to restore and renovate 60-plus-year-old buildings with no resources? Especially since, but
I think we should address this comment here.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I'm not saying that she didn't help to pay for the bus trip. The problem is that why come at 10:30 in the morning? I want to be present. What you want me to do? Take off a day's work, use my PTO time? Why not come when it's convenient for the residents? When we do board meetings, they don't do it at 10 o'clock in the morning. They do it when most of the residents are coming from work or home, and they do it for Zoom or anything. My issue, and I think John's issue too, is why do it at who does something at 10:30 in the morning? We're not senior citizens. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Donna
I shouldn't say that.
Donna is actually saying if she paid for the bus trip, why would she not be present in Albany?
In Albany. Okay.
That's a good question, but I think it was just like it was ass covering for her to, because other elected officials were collectively paying for the bus trip, so she wanted her name on the flyer. But then when it came down to it, she couldn't be available for these residents, even though she knew nearly a week before we came up there that these residents would be traveling 6+ hours to speak with their state representatives. And, I mean, it just shows utter contempt to put out a flyer after the fact and say, oh, all of your work meant nothing. It was me. I did everything. And, it's really rich for somebody who's been in power since 1991 to talk about it was me. I got the funding. When for 30+ years, she has not secured the funding to make this community truly affordable. Where has she been since 1991? From what I can tell, the only funding that she's come up with is to build a community center that residents can't rent for free. They can't have access to it in many cases. What is it for? It's for the board of directors, it's for the management company, it's so that she can say she did something. But where is the proof of her work over all these years? Since 1991 to 2001, that's 30 years. It's nearly 35 years. And she's come up with $30 million, which does not address the deficit that we have, does not maintain long-term affordability for this community, and does not do anything to get us out of debt. And you have the nerve to brag about, oh, I did this. I did the work. I got this money for you. I mean, the contempt and the arrogance of these people is just
Well,
unbelievable.
you gotta tell them that upstate got 500 million.
Yeah, they got $495 million for affordable housing communities. Let me just share my screen and show you this. Okay, just so you don't think I'm making this up.
And we got 30 million, and they got
We got 30 million.
498,000.
So let's find the announcement here. Okay, so here it is. They're bragging about $238 million invested in upstate affordable housing communities. It says City of Rochester, Town of Plattsburgh, DePaul, City of Binghamton, City of Albany, City of Utica. And then it's not just this $238 million. It's there's an additional amount for Rochester, for Beekman, Saratoga Heights, Northgate Landing, Albany, Historical Park in Utica. Then we have $136 million preservation project, including repairs and improvements to all 13 townhome style buildings. This is in Troy, New York. Then we have a 281 unit affordable housing development being rehabilitated in the city of Buffalo. And they're over here bragging about all of this money. I added it up. It comes up to $495 million.
He said I added it all up.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have $50 million here, investment in Buffalo's east side, $71 million rehabilitation. Then you have another $136 million in Troy, New York. Then you have the 46 plus 60, that's 146 million. That's over 200 million, another 14 million. So I added up, it comes out to $495 million to these communities. And, you know, don't get us wrong. We want these communities to get this funding. Okay. We don't want to play the Hunger Games. We're not the ones doing this. They are. The state has effectively been a deadbeat, no-show landlord for a long, long time. And they've done this to community after community. They've done it to NYCHA. They've done it under HPD. They've done it under DHCR. And they've done it all over the state. And here they are talking about they're fighting fascism while they are starving, quite literally, the communities that were built by the civil rights movement. And if people don't know the history, there were sit-ins and people blocking traffic on 137th Avenue in our community. And what were they doing that for? They were doing that because they planned to build these communities without integrating the workforce that would build the community, without integrating the workforce that would sustain the community being able to work here. They did it to fight for integration, to allow communities of color to have access to affordable housing. So this was a flashpoint of the civil rights movement in New York City. And here you have these Black leaders, these people who say they represent our community and that they care so much about our community. Yet they're turning their backs through neglect, through abandonment of their promises over many decades to provide the resources to make these communities truly affordable. And so, I'm not going to allow them to come here and engage in a press conference and a public relations photo op so that they can say they did something when it doesn't address the scale of the crisis that we face. And this is all happening at the same time that Citibank is getting a sweetheart deal from our board of directors and the management company. Again, I share receipts about everything. So just to show you what's going on, this is the resolution passed for the renewal of Citibank's lease on June 30th, 2025. Okay, the Citibank has agreed to rent 3,750 square feet for 5 years. And if you do the math, this is around 3% increase per year. And it's locking them into 3% increase per year throughout 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, and all the way into November of 2030. Isn't it nice for Citibank to have fixed costs that they don't have to worry about increases coming out of nowhere through a 5-year period? Wouldn't it be nice if Rochdale was being offered such nice
A
term.
3%, a 3% for
3%.
5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3% of over 5 years is 15%. And they're demanding as much as 57% over 2 years for our community. So, like they want to make it seem like we want handouts, like we want, there's been, mismanagement here or whatever. And this community, is in massive amounts of debt and nobody knows why. We only want the fairness that is being given to corporate entities that have a lot more resources than we have. If it's fair for them, why isn't it fair for us? And also, something you should be aware of is that at the same time, they're negotiating payment deals to solve the crisis they created, the management company, in not paying the water bill and other vendors. So I'm just going to put that up on the screen as well so people see what's going on with that, because that was also approved as of the last board meeting. So here it is, water repayment agreement approval. So currently there are arrears of $700,740.34. So here they made agreements to resolve to pay two of the smaller accounts, right, at $102,317 and $109,164. And they're securing a 10-year repayment plan that has an interest rate of 6%, right? And what they sneak in here is that the power plant account, which is the power plant that was going to have a tax lien put on it, is agreed to at a rate of 16%. So think about what that means. What that means is, everybody likes to like Jay Williams and others. They want to say, "Oh, it's not predatory debt. It's a 4% rate of increase per year." Yeah, they don't tell you how much that 4% totals out to. That it totals out to $86.5 million on the Wells Fargo loan over the first 10 years of mortgage, with not a dime being played towards the principal and all of it going towards their profits. If you have 16% a year times 10, that's 160% in addition to the amount that's owed. So that puts us in even worse debt to these vendors, and does nothing to solve the long-term problems that we face. And they pass these things at the board meeting, but there's no open discussion for the residents about, oh, is this a good deal? And there was none when they negotiated the Wells Fargo loan either. Yes, there were certain members of the board of directors who voted against it, but there was no open meeting to discuss whether this was a good strategy. In fact, they put out lying letters telling people that what we're doing is leveraging other people's money to keep Rochdale, rehabilitated, and to keep it and to do projects that are desperately necessary for our community. Are we leveraging other people's money? Whose other people's money is being asked to pay for the carrying charge increase? There is no other people's money. It's your money that they're going to do to pay off this debt, to guarantee corporate predators' profits, because the state refused to do what it's supposed to do as the landlord here, what it's supposed to do under a promise of maintaining affordability, which is to provide resources to rehabilitate these buildings and to actually keep this community affordable. We don't exist outside the existing economy. Everything is going up. The price of equipment is going up. The price of supplies is going up. The price of all these vendors is going up. Eric Adams is raising the water bill by taxing his own water board to basically engage in a backdoor tax increase on all of us. We are heir to all of those factors unless New York State does its job to maintain affordability. And they're just not doing it. And they're engaging all the smoke and mirrors to make it seem like they're coming to our rescue when they're only setting us up for future attacks. And we need to be conscious of that. We need to be conscious that it's mass movements that won these gains, and it's mass movements that are going to determine if we keep these gains. And Zoran Mamdani's campaign, which was laser focused on affordability, shows us that when working class people mobilize in the tens of thousands to get this message out to their co-workers, to their community residents, that people will respond, that people are willing to fight for these things, and that we can put our thumb on the scale, that working class people can put our boots in the necks of those who run the society, and we can make things happen by the weight of our own collective unity and our own strength and our own power as workers. And we need to take inspiration from that. We can fight and we can win, but we need leaders that are actually committed to not accept a bunch of IOUs and promises from people who constantly lie to us. And the other question that we have to have for our elected representatives on the board of directors is what's going on with the management company. I don't know if you guys remember, I'm going to share my screen again to show you the agreement that they agreed to extend Summit Management Company's contract with Rochdale Village. Here they have a resolution that extended Summit Property Management Services to continue its management duties on a month-to-month basis at a base rate of $57,550.31 until such time as either an extension or a new agreement can be prepared or approved. Now, this is after the board of directors passed a resolution at the previous meeting in May stating that they were going to take requests for proposals for new management companies. And they said that the deadline for those requests for proposals for a new management company would be July 15th. Well, take a look at the calendar. It's now July 20th, and we haven't heard anything about who has applied to replace Summit Management Company as the management company for Rochdale Village. And time is wasting. And here Summit Management Company puts their logo on the flyer for the meeting for Vivian Cook tomorrow to publicize that they were fighting for us and that they were essential in securing this $30 million of funding from New York State. Some very threatening writing is on the wall, and we have to be very serious about the fact that they are not getting away with allowing this management company to continue here. Your board of directors, the majority of the board of directors, is on record saying that they don't believe that they've done an effective job here, and that they want to solicit other management companies to replace them for very specific reasons. One, not paying the water bill, getting behind with these vendors, a lack of transparency, and some of your board of directors voted against the wise advice that Summit Management Company's parent company, Marion Scott Real Estate, put forward to get us into this disastrous and to put us constantly in a financial crisis. So they are not getting away with not following through with getting rid of this management company. So we need people to turn up at the next board meeting to start asking questions about what proposals have you received? What are the names of these management companies? What do they have to offer? And what is the timeline to get rid of this management company? Because the longer that they remain in a position of power, the more they are negotiating on our behalf. And we already heard that from Jean Hall at numerous meetings, that she doesn't think the board of directors should be negotiating directly with New York State over these funding decisions, that she doesn't think that the board of directors should be negotiating any payment plans related to the debt that we owe. She doesn't believe that it's their role to be representing Rochdale Village in all of these meetings. So if they're not representing Rochdale Village in all of these meetings, who do you think is? The same management company that is engaged in constant lies, gaslighting, and half-truths to try to get us to accept higher and higher amounts of debt burden that led to this crisis. And that's just simply unacceptable. We cannot allow that to continue, because that's how we got here. And we have to break with that past practice, or we're not going to get out of the crisis that we're in. And those who say they're an opposition to the concerned cooperators and to the management company getting whatever it wants, whenever it wants, are not doing anywhere near enough to show us they are serious about getting rid of this management company. And we need to be aware of that. So, Adena, did you have further comments as well?
No, I agree with everything that you're saying. But with the management company, I think that sometimes you're like, man, I can't find anyone else. I think it's I think what happened is anxiety also, because they have been working with this management company for such a long time, and to find someone new is to, the anxiety of it. Oh my God, what is going to happen? And do I go out there? How do I search it? How do I find it? Is it going to be good? I mean, are they going to come in here and be a wreck? And there's so many questions to ask. So the anxiety of going into something new, it could be an issue. And also sometimes you're with the same person all over and over, even though I don't want to say it, but they could be toxic. You're like, yeah, I know what this person is doing, but then when the other person come, I'm just saying these are probably things,
Yeah.
examples of when you go into something new. I already know this person pattern. Maybe I should just stick with the person. And also the problem is that, hey, we're going through this big issue. Why not just keep this person here or these people here until we finish this big issue? But the problem is the issue will never be finished. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Because it's not the management company is the problem. The problem is that we need state funding to come in and help us, because the management company will only be taking out more loans to be able to help us. And loans is going to drive us into bigger debt. So
yeah.
it's an issue. So I remember one time I had this doctor, and I love the doctor. I kind of wanted to leave. So my coworker said, "What if the doctor died? What you gonna do?" You know what I'm saying? So it's important that, if something, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if the management company go away or we go away. um we have to find someone new, you
Yeah,
know
I mean, an important reminder is the words of Albert Einstein, that trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. And
yeah,
you
so
know, but the other thing too is that all of the arguments that you were making are the
yeah,
same arguments the same board of directors made the last time when
yeah,
they
that's what I'm
replaced
saying,
the
that's what I'm
management
saying.
company 2 years ago. And that
Yeah,
meant that the water bill didn't get paid. And that meant that we got further and further into debt. And that
yeah,
meant that facade work that was supposed to be done as part of that $195 million Wells Fargo loan didn't get done. And it meant that we have scaffolding up all over this complex. I mean, it's got to be the overwhelming majority of buildings here have scaffolding up for over a year, which is a violation of New York City and New York State law. You're not supposed to have scaffolding up anywhere on any building in New York City or New York State unless you plan to do work within 3 months. Yet the scaffolding has been up over a year all over the facility. And it causes all sorts of safety issues for our residents in terms of it gets dark at night. There's not enough lighting. You have rips and holes in the netting, the black netting that's around all of the scaffolding. And it becomes an eyesore. And it's not actually like they're preparing for this work. They're just putting it out there so that they don't have to redo it again. And they
yeah,
should have never put that,
definitely,
and they should have
because
never
it
put
costs
that up
money
in the
to
first
take down and to put up, right?
yeah, but the other thing is what happens when we get fined by the buildings department or by New York City or New York State for violating the law? Who's going to pay those fines? Who's going to pay the fines when we get sued because somebody gets robbed or
Well,
somebody
it'd be me
oh,
and you.
right? Or what if it's one
Well,
of
it'd
us?
be you.
But so in any case, like doing the same thing and expecting different results is not going to change anything. And aside from which, they are playing games with us. You know why we have a for-profit management company, and do you know why there's no nonprofit management companies in New York State anymore? It's because the loans written into the loans require a for-profit management company. They are working together. They're on the same team. And so is HCR. When HCR engages in neglect and refuses to fund rehabilitation projects here, where do they think we're going to get that money from? They know exactly where we're going to get that money from. We're going to get it from financial predators like Wells Fargo. And Kathy Hochul and all of these politicians, who do they take money from? Who does Vivian Cook take money from? She takes money from Andrew Cuomo. She takes money from JP Morgan Chase. She takes money from real estate parasites. Who does Kathy Hochul take her money from? So it's not a surprise that we got here. The surprise is the shock is that nothing has been done to uproot this corruption and to demand real change by people who say they supposedly represent our community. And we have to change that. We need to put working class people in these positions like Cook holds in the state assembly. All of them need to be working class people. All of them need to be real community members. Not, I used to live here and now I live in Long Island. I grew up here. No, I have roots here. I represent this community because the people who got me elected, the people who got me elected are the people who live here. I am not beholden to any corporate sponsors, any banks, any financial parasites. I am beholden and I am accountable to the representatives of this community, the real representatives of the community, the people who live here, the people who have skin in the game, the people who will be forced to sacrifice if I don't do the right thing in a position of power. And there has to be consequences for all of these leaders who have abandoned us for decades. And they're not going to get away with coming here with a Superman cape and saying they're coming to the rescue and they saved us when they've abandoned us for decades. That's not happening. We cannot allow that to happen. And we need many more residents to get involved in pressuring these state assembly people and these elected leaders. We also need to be reaching out to campaigns like Zorons that are focusing on the crisis of affordability, specifically related to housing in New York State. One of those campaigns is the campaign of Antonio Delgado, who's running as he's currently the lieutenant governor, and he's running to be the governor of New York State. And he's running a campaign that's not funded by corporate PACs, that's funded by people-powered campaigns of small dollar donations from communities like ours. And we need to get in touch with these people so if Hochul won't come here and meet with us, let's have Antonio Delgado come here and meet with us. We're calling on anybody and everybody who can help us. It's all hands on deck now. And we need to put pressure on everybody who says they stand for affordable housing. They supposedly represent our community. It's time for them to back up their talk with action. And nobody gets a pass anymore. But in order for that to happen, residents need to be involved. Oh, I'm sorry. She's telling Chewy to jump. Chewy didn't get his cameo, by the way. You got to get to that.
Yeah, he was panting, so I was.
Hey, Chewy. Chewbacca.
Say hi, Chewy.
Say hi. How you doing? Chewy's very well spoken, but not right now. Right, Chewy? He speaks all the time, but not right now. He's normally barking up a storm, and he tries to sneak like the mommy. You've seen that, right?
Yeah, they try to sneak.
I called you mommy. My bad.
Oh, now the whole world knows.
Now the whole world knows you're a dog mom. Uh-oh. So in any case, we need it not to be our voices. We need it not to be just those who are politically active now. We need to be politically active collectively as a community. And we need to have high expectations and demands for our leaders because the consequences are just too great.
And we need the state to come in and help,
We can't accept any more IOUs, and we need the state to help.
Yeah. We need the state to come in and help because the amount of money that this place needs to be run, as that's why they keep taking out loans because they need to fix and the state is not coming. So, it's like, what do I do, Yeah. You have to figure out what to do, but then the interest rates are too high. It's just a loop.
Well, there's also an issue with the insurance, right? The insurance market in New York State has collapsed. A lot of those companies that used to provide insurance to communities like Rochdale either don't exist anymore or moved out of state.
And even the car insurances are high. The whole insurance industry is going under.
But the economy doesn't exist in a vacuum. The state is supposed to be regulating these industries. They're supposed to be forcing them to provide affordable insurance. And if they can't provide affordable insurance, then the state needs to provide insurance because they have an interest in communities not being destroyed by natural disasters or by fires or whatever and not having any insurance in order to rebuild. The state has a very real need in having those needs met, and they're not meeting those needs. And if the corporate market can't provide it, then the state needs to. It's the same thing with grocery stores. One of the campaign promises that Zoran's running on is one city-run grocery store in every borough. And the point of that is to provide nonprofit grocery stores that actually meet our needs and actually put a cap on the
But
price.
there used to be those type of stores, right?
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, it's been established in red states. I mean, you have in Kansas, you have publicly run grocery stores. You know why? Because there was none of these, all of these corporate grocery stores didn't want to build there because they weren't going to make enough profits there. So the state had to produce nonprofit state-run grocery stores, and they're great successes. There's also in Florida. Florida's another red state, and they have city-run grocery stores there. So it's not like these things aren't possible. It's just that our leaders have not been advocating for them, and they make it seem like it's a radical idea. It's not a radical idea to maintain affordability for us. They seem to have no problem giving trillions of our dollars, of our tax dollars, to corporate parasites who are engaged in all sorts of economic fraud during the housing bubble and the financial crisis. They're too big to fail. They have no problem leveraging $14 trillion of our federal tax money to go and bail out these predators and make them whole because they're too big to fail. Well, we need to have an attitude that our communities are too important to fail. The working class will not be allowed to drown in an economic crisis that you created. And you're going to live up to every one of your promises. And if you don't, there's going to be consequences for that. And if that means we have to do sit-ins, and that means we have to do mass protests, if it means we have to stop traffic, if that means that we have to throw the fuck out of office every lying politician who abandoned us, then that's what we have to do. Because we have to fight for our future. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. We have to go back to the old school tactics of good trouble. John Lewis was right. These people have the nerve to have celebrations for John Lewis's memory and his legacy. And they turn their back on that legacy every time they open their mouth. Every time they refuse to help communities of color who are being preyed upon by racially predatory banks. When they don't lift a finger to stop that, they are turning their backs on that legacy. How dare they come here and talk about how they believe in good trouble? We need to get back to that legacy and that strategy that actually works, that actually provides real gains. And that's what's going to give us the hope for the change that we want and we need being possible. We have to make it possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to not accept.
Yeah, it's crazy, you know.
We have to not just accept that, public opinion is
good trouble.
We have to
but
change.
We need good trouble.
Well, we need a lot of good trouble. I mean, especially with a fascist in the White House. We need to start getting busy about.
But that's coming here too.
Yeah, I mean, there very, very well could mean that Rochdale Village's financial crisis could go from an existential crisis to the crisis that kills us. When Trump talks about taking money away from New York State, away from New York City, what is that going to mean for future state budgets? If they're not going to fund us now, if they're going to do nothing to Trump-proof the city and the state against the attacks that are coming, what do you think is going to happen when he gets his hands on all the resources? He already stole $80 million of New York City's funding. He took it out of their bank account, right? So if he can do that, what do you think that he's capable of? If we don't get busy in fighting and actually engaging,
it's going to be wiped out.
Yeah, exactly.
Wiped out.
So Sharima Monet says, keep Rochdale affordable and voting for Mondani are two separate things. Well, I mean, yeah, they're two separate fights, but they are related in terms of the crisis of affordability in New York City.
But everybody is fighting for affordability. Like when we go to these meetings, and we do go, you know, like on weekends and after work, John and I go to these meetings where, you know, they're running and they're talking and all the candidates, and everybody's talking about affordability and what they're talking about, Mitchell Lambert 2.0. That's the big thing that they talk about, and it's affordability, but no one is coming up. No, I don't. They don't see that meat of the situation where people are actually in trouble. You know, and we have asked them over and over, time and time again, to come to Rochdale to see what it is. But it's like nobody wants to visit, you know? Like,
well, I think also we got to be honest with the fact that they wouldn't be talking about any of these things. They wouldn't be talking about the crisis of affordability without Mondani.
Definitely, yeah.
if there wasn't a movement that was rocking the political establishment in this city
It is.
and all over the country, if the billionaires weren't scrambling to come up with every excuse, every racist narrative to other Mamdani to get people not to support the reforms that he's proposing that actually correspond to our real needs as workers, we wouldn't be having the kind of discussions that we're having. And there wouldn't be the hope that people have drawn from that campaign. Nobody's saying that electing one person is going to solve all of our problems.
Definitely
Nobody's
not.
saying that voting is the only way that we have power. But we need people in positions of leadership that are on our side. We need to have certainly enemies that are less threatening than Trump.
Well, it's just
and
like
right
Trump.
wing.
You know, would you want Trump to be mayor? That
Well,
would have been
I mean,
a big problem.
Well, not only that, if the billionaires get their way, Trump is talking about disappearing Mamdani and deporting him. Are we okay with that? Should a community of color built on the civil rights movement be okay with that? I don't think we should. I think that we should see that as a threat. We should see it as a threat to all of us. If they can deport a U.S. citizen, they can do anything they want. And the question is, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do to maintain democratic rights? What are we going to do to fight for a real future? Are we going to sit on the sidelines and do nothing? Because I don't think that's a strategy to do anything. And, we don't live in silos. Every struggle is connected to every other struggle. And if one group of workers gets screwed, we all get screwed. Everything rolls downhill. If they're able to eliminate Rochdale Village as an affordable housing community, is that not going to hurt every other working class New Yorker who rents? Every other working class New Yorker who's struggling to pay a mortgage and don't know how they're going to come up with the money to pay that mortgage as the costs keep going up and up and up. All of our struggles are connected, and our unity is our strength. And it may not be a solution to elect a socialist mayor, but I'll tell you one thing: you look at the faces of the people in those crowds who know they did this, who know they were responsible for putting their thumb on the scale. They were responsible for coming up with the demands that caught fire and propelled Zoran to the position that he's in. And it matters that we know that we have power. And every time we can manifest that power, it makes us have hope for a different kind of world, for a world where our voices are actually heard. And we're not going to get anything without fighting for it. And we shouldn't give Zoran a blank slate, a blank check either. We should be putting pressure on him and putting forward all of our demands the minute he's in power to fight for those demands to become a reality. But we're going to need mass movements, and we got to put ourselves in the best position to win battles instead of losing battles. Right now, the right wing and the fascists are winning almost every battle they choose to wage. And we have to change that balance of forces as soon as possible. So in any case, we're going to have many more opportunities to talk about these issues. We're about at 58 minutes, so we try to keep it to an hour. But Adena, do you have any closing remarks here?
No, I'm glad that our system held. It was just too many people on it last time. There was
no, that's not
people on here, and it just broke the internet.
No, it was the evil wormy apple. That's what it was.
They were what?
It was your iPhone.
Oh, my wormhole.
Your wormy apple.
So you gave me your nice. Was this a Mac here?
No, that's an Android.
It's an Android, right? Okay, that's your best friend. Well, I like the wormy apple. I'm the apple girl. John, you're the only person. Listen, I don't know no one. I don't know no one that has an Android. I haven't met them in the century. Okay. You're the only one.
You gotta change who
you're the silo here. You're the silo.
Listen, I don't want to be a spokesman for Samsung or Android. Okay, I'm just telling you what works for me.
Okay.
And
all right.
we don't have Apple. And you can hear me, and I can hear you.
Yeah, but John, remember that I did crossed over the line, and I went to the Galaxy for a couple of years. I did, but I went back home. So
okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just like that. I mean.
Anywho, here ends the Galaxy or Android versus Apple. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll pick it up next time. We're gonna try to have it every 2 weeks, but Adena and I are gonna be going on vacation to Hawaii at the end of the month, so we'll be gone for like 2 weeks. So we'll have to work around that.
No, we'll take you with us. We'll broadcast from Hawaii.
No, no, Adena's just joking. We're not broadcasting. Okay.
All right. Okay.
But in any case, we're going to see everybody real soon. And I hope to see people at the meeting. I hope not to be the only resident that could make it. So if you can make it, if you work nights or whatever, or you happen to have the day off, please join us at the Grand Ballroom of Rochdale Village. It starts at 10:30, and I believe that you can start arriving at 9. So just so and anybody can make it, it'd be very helpful to have at least some residents there. Thank you so much for your time, everybody, and we'll talk to you real soon. And please like and comment and share out the feed, and we'll talk to you real soon. Have a great day.
Okay, Mr. Influencer.
Bye. Say good night, Gracie. Oh, bye, Chewy.
Bye, Chewy.